The fluorescent lights of Columbia Medical Center's emergency room cast harsh shadows across Olivia Westbrook's face as she burst through the sliding doors. Her Armani suit, impeccable during this morning's executive meeting, now hung disheveled on her slender frame, the silk blouse beneath dark with perspiration. The staccato click of her Louboutin echoed through the sterile corridor as she ran, her heart hammering against her ribs. "Where is she? Where's my daughter?" The words tore from her throat, raw with fear. A nurse pointed toward a room where medical staff swarmed around a small, motionless figure. Sarah, her bright, beautiful 10-year-old, lay unnaturally still on the stretcher. Dark hair splayed against the starched white pillow. The sight punched the air from Olivia's lungs. "Sarah? Baby, I'm here." Olivia pushed through the cluster of doctors, reaching for her daughter's limp hand. The head neurosurgeon, Dr. Abrams, according to his name tag, pulled Olivia aside, his expression grave beneath silver-rimmed glasses. "Ms. Westbrook, the fall caused severe compression at the T10-T11 vertebrae. I'm afraid," he paused, his eyes showing the practiced compassion of a man who had delivered devastating news countless times. "Your daughter will never walk again." The world tilted beneath Olivia's feet. Her CEO mask, the one that had guided Westbrook Medical Innovations through countless crises, slipped, revealing naked anguish. Somewhere in the distance, her phone vibrated insistently. The Japanese investors. The $2 billion IPO scheduled for next quarter. None of it mattered. "That's unacceptable," she whispered, steel returning to her spine. "Get second opinions, third opinions. Fly in specialists from Johns Hopkins, Mayo Clinic, anywhere. Money is no object." Dr. Abrams sighed. "Ms. Westbrook, I understand your reaction, but the imaging is conclusive." 3,000 miles away in Portland, Oregon, Dr. Marcus Bennett stared at the newspaper headline. "Westbrook Medical CEO's daughter paralyzed in school accident." Below it, a photo showed Olivia Westbrook, poised and perfect, standing beside a hospital bed where a small girl lay motionless. Sarah Westbrook, William's granddaughter. The apartment around him was modest, a far cry from the luxurious Boston home he'd once owned. Worn furniture, second-hand kitchenware, walls needing paint. Nothing like the life he'd built as Massachusetts General's youngest neurosurgery department head. He set down his chipped coffee mug, fingers trembling slightly. Emma, his 6-year-old daughter, sat at the small kitchen table, arranging Cheerios into a smiley face, humming softly to herself. Morning sunlight caught in her honey-brown hair, reminding Marcus painfully of Rachel. "Daddy, why do you look sad?" Emma's question pulled him from his thoughts. "Just thinking, sweetheart." He forced a smile, reaching to brush a stray strand of hair from her forehead. Marcus moved to the closet, retrieving a dusty cardboard box he hadn't opened in years. From it, he withdrew a leather-bound notebook, the first page bearing William Westbrook's elegant handwriting. To Marcus, "Finish what we started. The answer is here somewhere. You just have to be brave enough to look." He traced the words with his fingertips, remembering his mentor's unwavering belief in him, even after everyone else had turned away. William, who had testified on his behalf when the medical board and press had painted him as a monster. William, who had understood that Rachel's death resulted from her cancer, not the experimental treatment. "Emma," he said softly, "how would you feel about a trip to Boston?" The Tanaka Corporation's representative sat motionless in Westbrook Medical's 63rd floor conference room, their expressions unreadable as Olivia apologized for her abrupt departure the previous day. Through floor-to-ceiling windows, Manhattan sprawled beneath them, a testament to ambition and progress. "Family emergencies are unfortunate but understandable," Mrs. Tanaka said, her accent crisp, her gaze penetrating. "However, Westbrook Medical's IPO timeline is exceptionally aggressive. We need assurance that your personal situation won't affect the company's stability. Olivia's spine stiffened. My daughter's condition has no bearing on our projected growth or market position. With respect, Ms. Westbrook, the market doesn't distinguish between personal and professional crises. You have 3 months to demonstrate stability, regardless of your circumstances. Mrs. Tanaka closed her leather portfolio with finality. The market doesn't wait for those who show weakness. After the investors departed, Olivia stood alone by the window, staring at the skyline her father had once gazed upon while revolutionizing neuroscience. For 20 years, Dr. William Westbrook had pursued breakthrough after breakthrough in spinal regeneration. Now his company stood poised to become a publicly traded behemoth, while his granddaughter lay paralyzed in a hospital bed. Her assistant, Diane, appeared at the doorway. Your 4 o'clock with Victor Caldwell is waiting. Victor, her father's former research assistant, now research director, entered with practiced confidence, his tailored suit and slick-back hair a stark contrast to the rumpled scientists her father had preferred. The board is concerned about the IPO timeline, Victor said without preamble. With Sarah's accident, perhaps we should consider divesting the neural regeneration division. It's expensive, with minimal short-term ROI. Selling it would significantly boost our pre-IPO valuation. Olivia's head snapped up. Sell my father's legacy, the cornerstone of this company? Your father was brilliant, Olivia, but sentimental. The market rewards pragmatism. Victor's smile didn't reach his eyes. The research is years from commercial viability. Sometimes we must sacrifice the past to secure the future. After he left, Olivia retreated to her office, pulling open the bottom drawer of her desk. Inside lay her father's research journals, volumes she'd never fully understood. The complex notations and diagrams had always been foreign to her. She'd built her career on numbers and market projections, deliberately choosing a different path than William Westbrook's scientific genius. Now she wondered if that choice would cost Sarah everything. Rain fell steady against the stone pathway outside Boston Memorial Hospital. Olivia knelt beside Sarah's wheelchair, her tailored navy suit darkening at the knees as water seeped through the fabric. The chair's front wheels had wedged between 2 uneven paving stones at an impossible angle. Olivia pushed, her manicured hands slipping on the wet metal. The chair refused to budge. Inside her chest, something tightened, the same helpless sensation she'd felt when the doctors had delivered their verdict. 2 months of specialists, experimental treatments, and desperate hope had yielded nothing but mounting disappointment. Sarah sat motionless, her once vibrant eyes dulled by resignation, staring at the raindrops collecting on her useless legs. At 10, she'd already learned that life could shatter in an instant. First when her father died of a heart attack 4 years ago, now with her own broken body. A shadow fell across them. Olivia looked up through the rain to see a man standing there, worn leather jacket darkened by moisture, his hand holding tight to a small girl with bright eyes beneath a pink knit hat. Let me help her. His voice was calm and certain, carrying an authority that belied his casual appearance. He adjusted the wheelchair with practiced hands, finding just the right angle to free it from its trap. His movements were precise, confident, like someone who understood mobility challenges far better than a random stranger should. Thank you, Olivia said, rising to her feet, attempting to salvage her dignity despite her sodden appearance. I'm Marcus Bennett. I work at the physical therapy center down the street. He nodded toward the little girl. This is my daughter, Emma. Emma stepped forward, her smile revealing a missing front tooth. From her tiny backpack, she produced a well-loved teddy bear wearing a felt stethoscope. This is Dr. Pancakes. He helps people feel better. Olivia had no idea this moment would change all 3 of their lives forever. Olivia studied the man across from her in Sarah's hospital room. Marcus Bennett moved with the quiet confidence of someone intimately familiar with medical settings. adjusting Sarah's position, examining her chart, asking questions that seem far too technical for a physical therapist. Your approach sounds unconventional, Olivia said carefully, watching as Emma chatted animatedly with Sarah about Dr. Pancake's many medical adventures. Neural pathway stimulation therapy, Marcus explained, attaching small sensors to Sarah's legs. The brain can't distinguish between actual movement and simulated movement. We're essentially reminding dormant pathways they still exist. And you learned this as a physical therapist? Skepticism edged her voice. Marcus's eyes met hers briefly, then returned to his work. I've had extensive training in neurological rehabilitation. 3 weeks into treatment, Sarah showed her first response, a slight twitch of her toes when Marcus applied targeted electrical stimulation. Olivia, who had rescheduled an essential investor meeting to attend, felt hope flutter dangerously in her chest. Did you see that? Sarah's voice trembled with excitement. I felt it, Mom. I felt my foot. That evening, Olivia found herself in her father's former study, poring over his journals with newfound determination. The scientific terminology remained largely impenetrable, but certain phrases jumped out. Neural regeneration, pathway stimulation, proprioceptive memory, the same terms Marcus had used. The next day, she arrived at Sarah's therapy session early, catching Marcus adjusting a sophisticated medical device that seemed far beyond standard physical therapy equipment. He froze when he saw her, guilt flashing across his features. Who are you really? Olivia demanded, keeping her voice low so Sarah, waiting outside with Emma, couldn't hear. No physical therapist uses equipment like that, or speaks about T10, T11 compression patterns with that level of expertise. Marcus straightened, resignation in his eyes. I have medical training beyond physical therapy. Why lie? Why hide your qualifications when you're treating my daughter? Sometimes credentials create expectations I can't fulfill anymore. Pain flickered across his face before he masked it. The therapy is working, Ms. Westbrook. Isn't that what matters? Before she could press further, Emma burst into the room, dragging Sarah's wheelchair behind her. Ready for operation? Save the stuffed animals? She announced with authority far beyond her 6 years. Olivia retreated, watching as Marcus transformed therapy into play, noting how Sarah laughed. Actually laughed for the first time since the accident. Whatever secrets this man harbored, he was reaching her daughter when nothing else had. That night she began researching Marcus Bennett. The Westbrook Medical Boardroom hummed with tension. Victor Caldwell stood at the presentation screen, his expression a perfect blend of concern and corporate responsibility. The IPO timeline remains our priority, he reminded the directors. Pre-market evaluations suggest we're undervalued by focusing resources on unproven neural research. Mrs. Tanaka, observing from the corner, maintained her inscrutable expression. The board members nodded in agreement, except for Janet Maxwell, her father's former research partner and Olivia's godmother, who watched Olivia with worried eyes. Additionally, Victor continued, there are concerning rumors about Sarah's treatment. Apparently, Olivia has engaged an unqualified physical therapist using experimental methods. The room shifted uncomfortably. Olivia's fingers tightened around her pen. Due diligence led me to investigate this individual. Victor clicked to the next slide. A newspaper headline appeared. Doctor's experimental treatment kills cancer patient. Wife dies after unproven neural therapy. Below it, a photo showed Marcus being escorted from Massachusetts General Hospital. Olivia's blood turned to ice. Dr. Marcus Bennett was investigated for medical malpractice after conducting an unauthorized experiment on his terminally ill wife. Emily Bennett died as a direct result of his treatment protocol. Victor's voice dripped with practiced concern. While he wasn't criminally charged, he lost his medical license in Massachusetts. Janet leaned forward. Olivia, please tell me this isn't who's treating Sarah. That's not the whole story, Olivia replied, her voice steadier than she felt. But doubt was already creeping in, coiling like a serpent around her heart. Victor clicked again. Court documents appeared. Emily's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit. It was settled out of court. Dr. Bennett signed a non-disclosure agreement and left Massachusetts. These are not the actions of an innocent man. The board erupted in concerned murmurs. I move that we immediately terminate whatever arrangement Dr. Bennett has with Sarah's treatment, Margaret Chen, the legal counsel, stated firmly, and refer this matter to our risk management team. The vote was unanimous, Janet casting her yes with tears in her eyes. Only after everyone departed did Olivia allow herself to drop her head into her hands, torn between rage and devastating uncertainty. The treatment had been working. Sarah had felt her foot, and now, her phone vibrated with a text from the hospital. Sarah moved her toes voluntarily today. Dr. Bennett says it's a breakthrough. The Cambridge hotel room where Marcus and Emma had been staying for the past month was modest but clean. Emma was asleep in the adjoining bedroom when Olivia knocked, harder than necessary. Marcus opened the door, saw her expression, and immediately understood. You found out. You lied to me. Olivia's voice vibrated with fury. You let me trust you with my daughter's life, and you didn't tell me you killed your own wife. I didn't kill her. Marcus stepped back, allowing Olivia to enter. Rachel had stage 4 ovarian cancer. Terminal. She had weeks to live. The treatment killed her. The cancer killed her. His voice broke. The newspapers needed a villain. Rachel's family needed someone to blame. The hospital needed to protect itself. I was convenient. He walked to the window, silhouetted against the city lights. Your father knew the truth. He testified on my behalf. He provided documentation proving the research was sound, that Rachel understood the risks, that her death resulted from her disease, not the treatment. He turned to face her. But once the story got out, none of that mattered. Then why did you settle? Because I was drowning. Raw pain etched his features. Because Rachel was gone, and Emma was crying every night, and the hospital threatened years of litigation. Because William told me to take the settlement and start over somewhere I could breathe. Olivia wanted to believe him, but all she could see was that headline, those photos, and the thought of Sarah suffering the same fate. I have to do what's best for my daughter. She forced her voice to remain steady. The Zurich Spinal Institute has documented protocols, proven success rates. They'll spend months on assessments while everything we've built deteriorates. Frustration edged his words. You saw her progress. You saw her feel her foot again. I saw my daughter respond to play therapy. But even as she spoke, doubt gnawed at her certainty. Zurich has safety documentation. Everything you don't have. Marcus's shoulders sagged. I understand. You're protecting your daughter. That's what a good parent does. Olivia left without another word, ignoring the ache in her chest that felt strangely like loss. The private medical jet would leave for Switzerland in 24 hours. Olivia had arranged everything. The transfer, the intake, temporary residence near the clinic. Sarah would have the best care money could buy. Proven care, safe care. Sarah said nothing when told about the plan. She just nodded and looked down at Dr. Pancake's, which Emma had insisted she keep. We have to return this before we leave, Olivia said, gesturing to the teddy bear. No. Sarah's voice was soft but determined. Emma gave him to me. He's mine now. The morning of departure, Marcus came to say goodbye. Olivia agreed to let him see Sarah one final time, though she stayed in the room, arms crossed protectively. Marcus knelt beside Sarah's wheelchair. I hear you're going on an adventure. Sarah's lower lip trembled. I don't want to go. Zurich is beautiful. They have mountains and chocolate. I want to stay here with you and Emma. She looked up, desperation in her eyes. You were helping me. I could feel my foot. You'll keep getting better in Switzerland. They have excellent doctors. But not you. Marcus swallowed hard. He glanced at Olivia, who stared fixedly at the wall. Your mom is making the best choice she can. Promise me you'll keep trying. Keep believing you can get better. Okay, Sarah whispered, clutching Dr. Pancake's tighter. The door opened and Emma burst in, pink backpack bouncing. Wait! We can't leave without saying goodbye properly. She ran to Sarah and pressed a folded paper into her hands. This is for when you're in Switzerland, so you remember your promise. What promise? Olivia asked. Emma's eyes were solemn. That when she comes back, we're going to play every day until she can run and jump and do cartwheels. Olivia felt something crack in her chest. The absolute certainty in the child's voice echoed William's unwavering confidence when everyone else had deemed his research impossible. Come on, Emma. We need to let them pack. Marcus put a hand on his daughter's shoulder. As they reached the door, Emma turned back. Bye, Sarah. See you soon. Sarah didn't answer, silent tears streaming down her face. The airport terminal buzzed with early morning travelers. Olivia pushed Sarah's wheelchair toward their gate, past overpriced cafes and duty-free shops. They checked in, gone through security, made it to the departure lounge. 30 minutes until boarding. Sarah hadn't spoken since they'd left the hotel. She sat in her chair, Dr. Pancakes clutched tight against her chest, staring at nothing. I'm going to get breakfast, Olivia said, attempting normalcy. What would you like? I'm not hungry. Sarah, I don't want to go. Sarah's voice rose, drawing glances from nearby passengers. I don't want to get on that plane. I want to stay here. I want Dr. Marcus to keep helping me. Sweetheart, we've been through this. No, you decided. Tears welled in Sarah's eyes. You didn't ask me what I wanted. Before Olivia could respond, an airport employee approached with a small package. Mrs. Westbrook, this was just delivered. Rush courier. Olivia took the package, confused. It was addressed to Sarah Westbrook in careful handwriting. Inside was a drawing, clearly Emma's work, full of bright colors and wild imagination. Two girls standing on their own feet, holding hands. One with dark hair like Sarah, one with light hair like Emma. They were smiling, surrounded by flowers and stars. At the bottom in Emma's uneven letters, we'll walk together. Below the drawing was a small red handprint. Emma's hand, a promise. Tucked inside was a folded piece of paper, Marcus's handwriting. The note was short. Your father once told me, healing happens at the intersection of science and hope. You can't have one without the other. Sarah has both. The question is whether you'll let her use them. Whatever you decide, I believe in her. Always have, always will. Olivia's hands shook as she read it again. She thought about her father in his laboratory, pursuing research everyone said was impossible. She thought about Marcus, who'd lost everything but still showed up to help a child he barely knew. She thought about Sarah's face when she'd felt her foot for the first time. And she thought about safety, about proven methods, about the comfort of documented approaches. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. Healing happens at the intersection of science and hope. Sarah was looking at her, red-eyed, clutching the drawing. Mom, please. Olivia looked at the departure screen. Their flight was boarding. She looked at her daughter. She looked at Emma's drawing, at those two girls standing together. She pulled out her phone and dialed. He answered on the second ring. Dr. Bennett, she said, her voice shaking. We're not getting on that plane. The elevator ride to the 23rd floor felt longer than Olivia remembered. She hadn't been here, to the executive research level, since the memorial service 3 years ago. At the end of the hall was a door. Dr. William Westbrook, Director of Neural Innovation. Olivia's hand trembled as she pressed her palm to the biometric lock. The door swung open. The laboratory looked exactly as it had the day her father died. His coffee mug still sat on the desk. A framed photo of Olivia's mother smiled from the shelf. Technical journals lay open, pages marked with post-it notes. And everywhere were papers, notebooks, diagrams, equations, the life's work of a genius who'd run out of time. Marcus stood in the doorway with Emma. He'd come as soon as Olivia called from the airport. "This is it," Olivia said quietly. "Everything he was working on when he died. The company sealed it for eventual evaluation, but no one ever came." She turned to Marcus. "But you would. You were his student, his partner. You spoke his language." Marcus walked slowly into the room, scanning the walls, the papers, the equipment. He picked up a notebook, flipped through it carefully. "This is incredible," he whispered. "He was so much further along than I thought." "Can you use it? Can you finish what he started?" Marcus looked at her with awe and grief and determination. "He left us the roadmap, every calculation, every formula, every trial result. All we have to do is follow where he was leading." Olivia took a deep breath. "Then that's what we're going to do. I'm reinstating you as lead research physician of the Westbrook Neural Regeneration Project. You'll have full access to every resource this company has: lab space, equipment, assistance, funding, whatever you need. The board will never approve this. The board answers to me. I hold controlling shares." Olivia's voice was steel. "I'm going to make my father's work mean something. I'm going to make sure his legacy isn't left to gather dust." She picked up a photo, William with a younger Olivia, both laughing. He always said, "Breakthroughs don't come from playing it safe. They come from people brave enough to try the impossible." She set the photo down gently. "I haven't been brave, but I'm going to start now." Marcus extended his hand. "Thank you for trusting me. I won't let you down." "You already haven't." The treatment progressed steadily at first. Sarah regained sensation in her right leg, then limited movement in her left foot. 8 weeks in, she stood in a standing frame for 30 seconds before her legs gave out. Olivia watched from her position against the wall, hands pressed to her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Then came the setback. Sarah woke one morning unable to feel anything, worse than before. Panic flooded the laboratory as Marcus ran tests, adjusted equipment, searched desperately for the cause. "The inflammation markers are elevated," he explained to Olivia in hushed tones while Sarah slept. "Sedated. Her body is fighting the neural stimulation." "Like Rachel's did?" Olivia couldn't stop the words. Pain flashed across Marcus's face. "No, this is different. This is manageable." That night, board members received anonymous files detailing Sarah's treatment and her deterioration. Victor had been watching, waiting for just such a moment. An emergency meeting was called. The Japanese investors threatened to pull out. The Medical Ethics Committee demanded a halt to all experimental procedures. While Olivia fought battles in the boardroom, Emma slipped into Sarah's hospital room. She climbed carefully onto the bed, making Dr. Pancakes examine Sarah with exaggerated seriousness. "Dr. Pancakes says you're just resting," she informed Sarah gravely. "Your brain is working super hard to remember how to talk to your legs." Sarah blinked back tears. "What if it never remembers?" Emma considered this thoughtfully. "My daddy says sometimes our bodies forget, but they never give up. They just need help remembering." The simple wisdom of a 6-year-old became the breakthrough they needed. Marcus adjusted the treatment, focusing not on stimulating movement, but on reducing inflammation first, allowing Sarah's nervous system to accept the signals rather than fight them. 2 weeks later, Sarah regained sensation. While Sarah recovered, Olivia discovered the truth. Hidden in her father's notes was a warning about research sabotage in Victor Caldwell's name. William had suspected Victor of stealing research, of planning to commercialize neural regeneration technology before it was ready. The laboratory explosion that killed William hadn't been an accident. It had been designed to destroy evidence that could have exposed Victor's plans. evidence that would have vindicated Marcus. Armed with this knowledge, Olivia confronted Victor in the boardroom, Japanese investors and board members watching in the stunned silence. "You betrayed my father," she stated, voice steady despite her rage. "You tried to steal his research, and when he discovered your plans, you sabotaged his lab." Victor's face paled. "That's preposterous." Olivia laid out the evidence, William's notes, the corrupted research files recovered from Marcus's original trials, the sabotage patterns consistent with the current attacks on Sarah's treatment. "You're jeopardizing my daughter's recovery to protect yourself," Olivia said, each word a blade. "I'm not just removing you from this company. I'm pressing charges for corporate espionage, fraud, and potential manslaughter." As security escorted Victor out, Mrs. Tanaka approached Olivia. "Most impressive, Miss Westbrook." "I'm afraid the IPO timeline is compromised," Olivia admitted. "My priority has shifted to the neural regeneration research." Mrs. Tanaka nodded thoughtfully. "My younger sister was paralyzed in a skiing accident 20 years ago. I've followed Dr. William Westbrook's research for decades." Her usually impassive face softened slightly. "Perhaps Tanaka Corporation would prefer a strategic partnership focused on neural regeneration rather than a standard IPO investment." 2 months later, Sarah took 5 steps unassisted, from Marcus to Emma, who waited with open arms and Dr. Pancakes raised in victory. The room erupted in applause. Olivia ran forward, wrapping Sarah in the tightest embrace, whispering, "I love you," against her daughter's hair. Marcus stood back, eyes bright with emotion. This was just the beginning. 1 year after that rainy afternoon at Boston Memorial Hospital, the William Westbrook Foundation hosted its inaugural gala. The event took place in the grand ballroom of the Boston Convention Center with more than 500 guests, doctors, researchers, donors, patients, and families. At the center was a portrait of Dr. William Westbrook, commissioned for the occasion. Olivia stood at the edge of the room, feeling overwhelmed in the best possible way. She wore a midnight blue gown, her hair swept up, her mother's pearls at her throat. Marcus appeared at her elbow, handsome in a tuxedo. "Ready for this?" "Not even a little bit," Olivia admitted. "But we're doing it anyway." The lights dimmed. A spotlight hit the stage. Olivia and Marcus walked up together, and the room erupted in applause. "Thank you all for coming," Olivia said into the microphone, her voice steady. "A year ago, I was a mother watching my daughter face an impossible diagnosis. I was a CEO trying to honor a legacy I didn't understand. I was lost." She paused, finding Sarah in the front row. "And then someone showed up and said 4 words that changed everything. 'Let me help her.'" Marcus took the microphone. "Medicine isn't just about science, it's about connection. It's about believing in possibility even when logic says to give up. It's about people brave enough to try." He smiled. "But you don't have to take my word for it. Everyone, please welcome Sarah Westbrook." The spotlight moved to the side of the stage, and Sarah walked out, not with a cane, not with a walker, but on her own 2 feet, steady and strong, wearing a green dress and the biggest smile. The room went silent. Then everyone stood. The applause was deafening. Sarah walked to center stage and took the microphone with complete confidence. "Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. A year ago, doctors told my mom I would never walk again." She grinned. "They were wrong." Laughter rippled through the crowd. "I get to walk because 2 people refused to give up on me. Dr. Marcus, who saw me as more than just a girl in a wheelchair, and Dr. Emma." She gestured to the front row where Emma sat in a tiny formal dress, beaming. "Who reminded me that healing can be fun." Sarah's voice grew more serious. "But mostly I get to walk because my grandpa believed that impossible just means nobody's figured it out yet. The William Westbrook Foundation is going to help other kids like me. Kids who are told they'll never get better. Kids who need someone to show up and say, "Let me help you." She held out her hands. "Please welcome my heroes, Dr. Marcus Bennett and Dr. Emma Bennett." Marcus lifted Emma onto the stage and Sarah wrapped them both in a hug. The applause grew even louder. Olivia watched from the side, tears streaming, her heart so full it hurt. Later, after the formal program ended, Olivia found herself on the balcony overlooking Boston Harbor. The night air was cool, city lights reflecting off dark water. Marcus joined her, champagne flutes in hand. "You did it," he said. "We did it." Olivia clinked her glass against his. Together they stood in comfortable silence, watching boats drift across the harbor. "I keep thinking about that day at the hospital," Olivia said. "When you and Emma showed up, I almost turned you away. But you didn't, because Sarah saw something in Emma, and I saw something in you." She turned to face him. "I saw someone who understood what my father spent his life believing, that science isn't about being safe. It's about being brave." Marcus set down his glass and took both her hands. "Olivia Westbrook, you are the bravest person I know." "No," she said, smiling through tears. "I'm just a woman who learned to trust the right people." He pulled her closer. "Is this too soon?" "Probably," Olivia admitted, "but I don't care anymore." He kissed her then, soft and careful and full of promise, while Boston sparkled around them and their daughters plotted their next adventure inside. Someone called for another speech. Olivia and Marcus walked back in hand, ready to face whatever came next. Because healing didn't just come from medicine. It came from trust. It came from people who showed up even when the world said it was hopeless. It came from a father who'd left behind a legacy of impossible dreams and a daughter who'd learned to believe in them. It came from a man who'd lost everything but still found the courage to say, "Let me help her." And it came from a little girl who knew that sometimes the most powerful medicine is believing you can get better. Sarah took the stage one more time for the final speech. "My grandpa used to say that healing happens at the intersection of science and hope. I think he was right." She looked out at the crowd with the wisdom of someone who'd fought her way back from impossible. "But I also think he forgot something. Healing also happens when people love you enough to show up. When they stay, even when it's hard. When they believe in you, even when you can't believe in yourself." She held up Dr. Pancakes, worn and beloved, missing one button eye but still treasured. "This is Dr. Pancakes. He's been with me through every treatment, every exercise, every scary moment. Emma gave him to me when I needed hope. And now the William Westbrook Foundation is going to give hope to everyone who needs it." The room erupted one final time. Olivia wrapped an arm around Marcus's waist and he pulled her close. Emma climbed onto his other side and Sarah joined them, completing their circle. 4 people who'd found each other in the rain. 4 people who'd learned that family wasn't just about blood. It was about showing up. It was about saying, "Let me help," and meaning it. It was about refusing to give up, even when the whole world said there was no hope.